Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something genuinely fascinating, the world's absolute wealthiest family dynasties. We're going to explore exactly how they built their massive fortunes, how they managed to keep them growing, and the just incredible scale of their global influence.
So think about this for a second. What actually separates being rich from being completely, literally untouchable? There is a massive, massive difference between someone having a lot of individual wealth and a multi-generational family tree where the financial systems are so deeply entrenched that no one in that lineage will ever be poor again. And that is the realm we're stepping into today.
Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Here's our roadmap for analyzing these financial empires. We'll start with the anatomy of family wealth, check out empires of everyday goods, and then the titans of infrastructure. From there, we scale way up to the trillion-dollar dynasties, synthesize everything in the global wealth roster, and finally, look at legacy versus philanthropy.
Section 1, Anatomy of Family Wealth, Making it, Growing it, and Keeping it.
Section 2, Empires of Everyday Goods, From Candy to Couture.
So these are the families who own the brands that are probably sitting right in your house or your closet today. And, their core goal wasn't just making a quick buck, it was about building an absolute enduring legacy. We've got the Walton family, who focus entirely on Walmart, making them absolute titans of American retail. Then there's the Mars family. They control your favorite candies, Snickers, M&M's, Milky Way. Over in luxury, the Arnault family commands a massive empire under LVMH. We're talking 70 different brands, including Dior and Bulgari. And of course, the Bettencourt family controls L'Oreal, which is a cosmetics giant that started way back in 1907 and eventually made Lillian Bettencourt the richest woman in the world.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer volume we're talking about here, let's just compare their annual sales. You have LVMH pulling in a staggering $34 billion. Cargill, which is an agro-business giant we're going to talk about in just a minute, sits at $108 billion. And then Walmart just completely towers over the rest with $483 billion in sales. These aren't just big businesses, right? They are the vital arteries of global commerce.
But you know what's really wild? It's how some of these modern behemoths actually started out. Take Frank Mars. He started out just selling candy from a tiny kitchen back in 1911. 18 years later, his son Forrest joins the business, and together they invent flavored nougat. That one simple invention became the basis for Snickers, and it completely transformed a small kitchen operation into an estimated $78 billion family fortune. Talk about a game changer.
Section 3, Titans of Infrastructure, Building the Modern World.
Okay, so while that last group sells things you can literally hold in your hand, these families control the unseen infrastructure that basically keeps the globe spinning. The Koch family's wealth, which comes from a 1920s crude oil refinement method, now spans across 16 different types of goods. Then you have the Slim Halou family. They completely dominate telecommunications in Mexico and South America, and fun fact, they also own 17% of the New York Times. The Cargill-Macmillan family controls America's absolute largest private company in agribusiness. And the Cox family, they started with a single newspaper back in 1898 and recently dropped a cool $4 billion acquiring DealerTrack just to dominate automotive software. Now, with this immense, staggering power often comes a desire to shape the world around them. The Koch brothers, who inherited their father's empire and currently sit on an estimated $82 billion net worth, are very well known for their political activism. In fact, right on their official website, they describe themselves as unapologetic advocates for the principles of a free and open society.
Section 4, The Trillion-Dollar Dynasties, Historic and Sovereign Wealth.
All right, buckle up, because we are leaving the realm of billionaires completely in the dust. $1.4 trillion. Yes, trillion with a T. This represents the estimated net worth of the Al Saud family, the rulers of Saudi Arabia. Now, this family has thousands of members, and their wealth stems from pure sovereign control and just massive oil reserves. It funds some of the most expensive private jets and yachts on the planet, firmly cementing their power on a global scale.
And then we hit $10 trillion. Honestly, it's a number so big it almost loses its meaning, but this belongs to the Rothschild family. They are easily one of the most secretive and deeply influential families in the world, with a banking empire that dates all the way back to Germany in the 1760s.
So how did they do it? Well, Mayer Amschel Rothschild founded the bank centuries ago, and by financing major wars, the family rapidly grew their wealth. He basically sent his sons out to establish branches all across Europe to create the sprawling, massive dynasty. And their power really comes down to one simple, undeniable reality.
When banks and governments need money, they borrow from the Rothschilds, with interest. They are the ultimate lenders in the entire global financial system.
Section 5. The Global Wealth Roster. The top 10 data synthesis.
We have covered a lot of ground today, and honestly bringing all these staggering figures together into one place gives us such a clear view of the global hierarchy. Let's really look at this data. We're tracking the family name, their primary industry, and that total estimated net worth. Up at the very top, you have the historic banking might of the Rothschilds and the sovereign wealth of Al Saud dominating that trillion-dollar tier. Then dropping down to the mega billionaires, we see the Waltons sitting at $130 billion in retail, the Kochs right there at $82 billion in industrial oil, Mars at $78 billion in food, and Slim Hello at $52 billion in telecoms. And then Cargill, Cox, Arnauld, and Bettencourt round out the rest of the list. It is just a stunning summary of the absolute most powerful families on Earth and the incredibly diverse industries they completely dominate.
Section 6. Legacy versus Philanthropy. The Missing Billionaires.
Now, you might be sitting there wondering, where are names like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett? It's the elephant in the room, right? Well, it actually comes down to a fundamental difference in philosophy. You see, the families we just studied operate on a strict keep it and grow it mindset. They transfer wealth across generations to ensure the dynasty survives no matter what. But individuals like Gates and Buffett, they've adopted the modern billionaire pledge. They've explicitly decided to give away 99% of their fortunes upon their death, so they've completely opted out of creating these multi-generational wealth empires. Which leaves us with a truly fascinating philosophical puzzle to think about. At what point are new generations no longer entitled to inherited money? Is it right to build a legacy business that transfers endless power from parent to child forever, or is that philanthropic pledge the better path for society? I really want you to reflect on the mechanics and the ethics of this kind of multi-generational wealth. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. I hope it sparked your curiosity, and I'll catch you next time.